can edit around anything. All right, here we go. Let's try this again.
Right on.
Andrew, how you doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm cold. It's actually warming up, so I'm in the middle of that polar vortex stuff.
It's
All right.
cold. It's cold here in Florida, so like
Yeah, what's cold in Florida?
65.
50?
It's 65.
Oh, it's 65 in Florida.
All right.
I'm looking at 31 on my little widget down here. All right, so this is what we've tentatively and possibly permanently named the show about nothing.
Yep.
And what you're looking at are two guys who have been friends with each other for probably close to 30 years.
Yep.
Somewhere around there, right?
Like 28 years. 1997? 1998?
No, earlier than that, probably 96.
96? Yeah, probably right at 29. Yeah, close to 30.
And the way we met each other was kind of odd. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I'm at right now, right in the heart of Memphis, Tennessee. Midtown Memphis.
Midtown is Memphis.
In 1994, early 1994, I moved to Austin, Texas.
Right.
My ex-wife, my first ex-wife,
Kristen,
started a band in Austin, and I did not want to play in her band. I said, nope, but I will help you, but I'm not going to play in a band with you and be your husband. I've seen how it worked out for Fleetwood Mac. It did not look good.
Right.
So she was auditioning guitar players for her band, and this skinny, red-headed, tattooed kid answered her ad.
I was about to say, do you remember it? Did she have an ad?
Yeah.
Would have been in the Austin Statesman?
It was in the Austin Flyer.
Oh, the Austin Flyer? What was that called? That was called the Flyer?
No, it's the Memphis Flyer. What was that little free newspaper in Austin? It wasn't in the Statesman. That was
the
like
Chronicle.
Chronicle,
I think. Anyway, I know what you're talking about.
But you answered the ad there because this was very, very, very early internet time. It wasn't like you went online and answered ads there.
Right.
But I went with her because I'm like, you're a little 5 foot tall woman. We don't know this person you're going to go meet. I'm going to go with you just to make sure everything's cool.
That's correct.
And you and I got to talking, and you mentioned you had just moved to Austin from Memphis because your grandparents lived in Memphis and you were staying with your grandparents.
Well, yeah, I was born right outside of Memphis, but I call Memphis my home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been living there, what, I don't know, 6 years at the time.
Yeah. And then you had just moved to Austin, and we were like, holy shit, I'm from Memphis. And so we kind of connected and bonded over that. And a few years later, I'm splitting up with her. I'm not going to trash talk her. I could, but I'm not going to. And I moved back to Memphis. You know, I had to be in my mid-20s crawling back home to live in my mom's spare room.
We've all done that.
Within about, 6 or 7 months, I get a random phone call on an answering machine. Hey, Jeff, it's Andrew. I'm back in Memphis.
Was it?
You had moved. You and your ex.
Jennifer.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to say her name.
Yeah.
But
I ain't got no heart.
You and Jennifer with your newborn baby had just moved back to Memphis. And so we've just kind of been friends since way back then. But we can go a year, 2 years, not talk to each other.
Yeah, we've done that before.
We have. I think we've probably gone closer to 3.
Yeah.
But the next time the phone rings and I see Andrew's name on my phone, it's like we talked yesterday.
Right. Exactly.
And it's none of that bullshit of you haven't called me in so long and none of that crap because, you know.
Well, I actually think that's how men work, but yeah.
Yeah, because we don't feel the need to talk to each other every day.
No.
If we tried to talk to each other every day, by day 3, we'd be looking at each other going, what the fuck do you want to talk about?
Right.
But I just turned 51. Oh, shut up. My dog is whining because he wants to go outside and attack a cat. I just turned 51. I've got 2 kids. Recently divorced for the second time and the last time. And ain't doing that shit again. I live here in Memphis. I live here by myself. I've got my son's dogs behind me while he's gone at school. My son's 23. My daughter's 18. It feels weird to say that because now I feel old.
Tell me about it.
And you are in Melbourne, Florida?
Melbourne, Florida.
That's on the Atlantic side.
The Atlantic side, home of Jim Morrison.
Is it really?
Yeah, his childhood home is downtown.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Kelly Slater is from here.
The surfer?
Yeah. And
who lives now in Hawaii?
Yeah, and some famous model. I don't know her fucking name. She was on that deodorant commercial on the beach riding a horse anyways, or a beer commercial, or I don't know her name, but she's from here too. But that doesn't mean jack shit. But yeah, I'm from Melbourne, or I live here now. Was living in Chicago for 7 years, and then we've been here 2.5.
All right. You're married now, right?
I am married.
And your wife is a
flight attendant.
We will need to talk to her at some point.
Yeah.
And she works for which airline?
Southwest.
Okay.
19 years.
Wow. I didn't know if you wanted to put all her shit out there too.
Oh,
okay.
If she come in here and talk, she'd take over the goddamn podcast.
She will one day.
I'd just be like, I'm out. I'm gonna go watch fucking whatever.
We will one day because there's something specific I want to ask her about. Oh. Southwest is a discount airline. It's not quite Spirit Airlines, but it's not Delta Airlines either.
I don't think it's considered discount anymore. I believe it was the first 20 years or so.
That's what I've always known Southwest as. Has been more of a cheaper fare, but you don't get assigned seating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to know some of the crazy fucking stories that she has had to deal with being a flight attendant on a Southwest flight. Because when people travel, they're on edge anyway.
Yeah.
And then if one thing goes wrong, I love watching videos on YouTube of people losing their shit on airplanes and getting drug off by air marshals. Fucking love it.
Well, she could definitely tell you some fucking stories. And a lot of the ones she tells me are, what you basically hear on the news. A lot of it has to do with bathroom stories. People are disgusting on in airplane bathrooms.
No, people are disgusting in public bathrooms everywhere.
Like wiping poop on the walls and shit. Yeah.
Has she caught anybody fucking in the bathrooms? Now we'll ask her.
I don't know. You'd have to ask her. I will say this. She's what they call an OG mama, old school.
She's been doing it for a long time.
So she's the one that's probably not going to charge you to fucking drink. And if you order one, she's going to bring you 4 or whatever. Yeah. I don't care if you're flying from Dallas to Austin and it's 35 minutes in the air. If you want to drink fucking 6 Millers, get after it. Just don't act like a fool getting off the plane. If you vape in the bathroom, she's probably going to go side eye you as you walk. She's not, she's just old school. She ain't has lots of stories she could tell you.
I'm sure she could.
Yeah.
And she's probably been doing it long enough where she's sensible about things and is not going to overreact to little shit.
Yeah, that's more or less the yes, because these new ones are so afraid of.
I think everybody's
getting in trouble.
Yeah, I think everybody's afraid of getting in trouble about everything now. People are so scared to talk to each other.
But the thing about Southwest is, and she could tell you this if you ever talked to her. There used to be this thing called the culture of Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew this, but when he first started that with the Texas two-step, which was Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston.
Okay.
If you bought a ticket, you got on the plane, he'd give you a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Shit.
There used to be, and I think this is like more of a, what do they call it? Anyway, they always keep 4 wild turkey minis on every plane in case Herb, who's dead now, would get on a plane. There would be 4 wild turkeys for him.
That was his
kind of like a tradition. If they only got 4 minis of wild turkey, you're not getting a wild turkey anymore. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of cool. There just used to be this culture that's not there anymore. And she complains about these new hires and all these people. Like they bought out this small airline out of Atlanta called Air Trans. And those flight attendants came over and really they lost basically their seniority and they didn't have an option. But anyway, there used to be this culture and it's kind of
gone away.
Yeah. And she doesn't like that. These new hires, not only do they want to fucking follow the rules, and I get the rules, but there's some rules you know, kind of when you're at work.
Once you've been doing something,
once you've been doing a job long enough with your coworkers, you don't need to rat on your coworkers. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're on a flight, and so there's a flight attendant A, B, C. If there's 3 of them, there's an A, B, and a C. If there's 4, there's A, B, C, D. Anyway, if my A wants to go, or my B wants to go back in the back while I do like the trash and watch, you're on a 4-hour flight. You say, I'll go do the trash. You can watch your Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these new flight attendants are like, you can't do that because they report you and it's bullshit. But anyway, I'll let her, you get her on here one time and she'll talk your ears off for 3 hours about flight attendants.
I look forward to that because I'm like, man, I would.
I can hear her yelling in there. I hear you.
She's awesome, dude. All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
we're gonna go because we could talk to each other, but we've been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah,
but hopefully some other people are gonna watch or hear this.
They want to hear for us to say something interesting.
Well, and something that might be more than just a conversation between you and me.
Right.
Speaking as though other people are listening.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, other people will listen. So what, outside of working, or you got kids?
Yeah.
Between you and your wife, y'all have kids. What, 3 girls?
3 girls. 2 cats and a dog.
And what do you do for your primary form of just entertainment? What, like when you get home from work and the kids are taken care of, the dishes are done, it's time to chill. What do you like to do?
That's a pretty good question.
For anybody listening, I did not brief him on what I was going to ask him. So he's hearing it for the first time now.
I mean,
well, you want me to tell you what I do?
I watch TV like at night.
Yeah.
I do like to read. I got off social media like almost 2 years ago, and I like to read. I don't do as much reading at home at night as I do like when I'm at work.
Feels good getting off social media, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like it's hard to say. Like, oddly enough, I like to bowl. I even have my own bowling ball and shoes.
You've always been into bowling, right?
I like bowling.
I think I remember you talking about that at one point.
Yeah.
Do you go play very often?
Yeah, I probably play twice a month.
What would you say your average is?
Well, it was probably about 125 to 150. The highest I've ever bowled is a 188. I got this new bowling ball that I bought and had it custom fit like a real professional bowling ball.
Yeah.
And it's taking me forever to get used to how to throw it.
Do you can do like that curved where
Yes. Yep.
I've only ever gone bowling when I take my kids bowling and stuff, so it maybe happens 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to do that, and I just throw it in the gutter.
Yeah, one day I was like, we went bowling. This is before I had my bowling ball. We were bowling, and I was like, I'm going to try to do this spin thing that I see on TV. And I'd watched a couple of videos. I was like, okay, let me go see if and I did it. I was like, somebody learned how to bowl.
Because every time we go bowling here, excuse me, because in Memphis we have the Billy Hardwick's lanes.
Yeah.
His son is like the media personality Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, I know.
I think he has like the Nerdist
I remember who he
podcast and
is.
stuff.
Yep.
He used to do that show on MTV with Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
Well, his dad was apparently like a big time professional bowler, and they had the Billy Hardwick's All-Star Lanes here.
Yeah, I know where it is.
That's where I always take my kids whenever we go bowling. And I see these guys who come in and they've got the bag and they put the wrist brace on and the shoes, and I'm like, I've always seen bowling as more of just a recreational activity. When you do it with your buddies, you get a pitcher of beer, and
exactly
you could give a shit about the score.
Oh no, I'm trying to fucking get a strike every time.
Well, you do.
Like I'm very competitive about it.
Well, it's a game. It's a competition.
Yes.
Did you know the Dodgers player Mookie Betts?
Yes, I know. Of course, he used to play for the Red Sox. Of course.
Do you know he's also a professional bowler?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he competes in bowling tournaments in the off season.
I did not know that.
I'm not positive on this, but I think I saw a video where he rolled he was one strike away from a 300.
Oh, that's pretty badass, actually. Because 300s are hard to bowl. I mean, even professionals.
That's 100% strikes. Yes. I mean, that's like a hole in one at a golf course.
Now, I'll tell you what, before bowling, I was really into shooting darts during COVID.
At home?
And I still love
dartboard?
Yeah, well, I had a dartboard at home.
Because obviously bars were closed.
Bars were closed, so we made a bar at our house. I bought an electronic dartboard. I also had a steel tip dartboard, but I bought an electronic dartboard. My wife did. And it has a camera on it, and it has a TV screen at the bottom. You plug it into the internet, and you can play people from the UK. You can play people all over the world.
That's pretty fucking cool.
So there was nights I'd sit there and play for 12 hours straight.
Like, damn.
Because I was pretty good at it. I'm not going to lie. I was really pretty good at it. I could hold my own with like the UK guys
that's like a religion for some of those
fucking darts. They're really good. And the Japanese people are really good. The Asian guys, Japan, China, like Thailand, those guys are really good. But the UK guys are like off the charts. Like just your average, guy playing on the dartboard at night was good. So me playing with those dudes actually made me better.
I've heard stories from UK people to where they would start playing darts at like 9 and 10 years old because that's about the age their dad would start taking them to the pub.
Yep. That's exactly
right. They couldn't drink, obviously, but they would hang out at the pub, and about the only thing they could do was throw darts.
I mean, they have darts on TV, and if you catch it on like ESPN 8 or whatever, like when some lowdown, you can find darts, and they're showing there's a stadium full of people watching two dudes throw darts.
Huh.
Like,
I mean, you've seen some of those videos from China where it's a stadium full of people watching two dudes play ping pong.
Exactly. So I did love, the only reason I don't do it here is I really haven't found a place that I like to go throw darts at. Because usually if you go to a bar and they have a steel tip, all the darts suck. And I actually had 2 sets of darts, but I kind of wore them out and lost pieces.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the ones at the bar because they're crap. So if you go spend $150 on 3 darts, and you pick your I forgot what they're called. Not the fins. I think they're called the feathers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pick different. You can change them in and out. However you like. They're so custom. Yeah. You can change the weight of the shaft. All that bullshit. So when you get used to throwing those real good darts, like you get used to your dart, your weight, And then you go into a bar and you got, darts that look like they've been there from 1975. You know what I'm saying?
If you think about it, you go into a pool hall, you're not going to find great pool cues.
Exactly. And
they're going to be ones that are bought understanding that somebody's going to break them.
So I've only been to play darts at this little bar down the street called the Doghouse like 3 times. And it was, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like, I don't want to go throw darts here because it's just, I don't know how to explain it.
How much of a touristy area is Melbourne? Because I know y'all are somewhat close to Orlando, but far enough away, you're probably not getting a lot of Orlando overflow. I mean, do you get a bunch of like people coming down to go to the beach and then they're in the bar?
Yeah, okay. We have Melbourne has an international airport that services you can get on a plane and go to Ireland and the UK.
Really?
I think there's 3 flights a day that come in from Britain.
But
I think they're coming here to go to Orlando.
Yeah.
Or they're coming here to get on a cruise, which is about 30 miles north, or they're coming here to go NASA.
Yeah.
So as far as Melbourne is concerned, nah, it's not touristy.
So you're not getting, it's not like Daytona Beach or something.
No, you ain't coming here for vacation. Unless you want to.
But y'all got some nice beaches down there though, right?
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't see why people wouldn't try to come down there and hang out and go to the beach and
hit some beachside. I'm not saying we don't have tourists here, but it ain't Daytona Beach. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Daytona Beach at spring break and bike week or whenever NASCAR's there.
It is. Melbourne is very much a small town.
Cool.
Yeah. I think the city of Melbourne has less than 100, like 75,000 people. But if you get all of Brevard County, which is Vieira, Rockledge, all the way from Cape Canaveral, like Cocoa Beach, all the way down to
who was that motorcycle builder that got pretty famous for a while? Got long dreadlocks and
so he had his shop is
super smart.
Yes,
Billy Lane.
His shop was
Choppers Inc.
Choppers Inc. I believe was slightly south of me, and now he lives. I think he lives closer to Daytona now.
Oh, okay.
Or in between Daytona and Jacksonville now.
But he was from Melbourne.
He was from just south of here. His shop was. Like I think about 15 minutes down the road, down US 1.
When all those shows came out and the great biker build-off and the Jesse James shit was going everywhere, I watched that shit like I thought I knew what I was talking about.
There is a very big biker culture here in Florida because you can ride, year round. So there's a lot of Harley Davidsons and a lot of.
They have Bike Week in Daytona, don't they?
Absolutely.
That's like the second biggest bike rally next to Sturgis in the country.
I would say yes.
I'm guessing, but I would say yes. As a non-motorcycle rider, I know about it. So, obviously it's not underground.
Bike Week is right before. Isn't it right before? It's about to come up.
I have no idea.
I kind of think it's right before the Daytona 500.
Okay.
Or maybe right after the Daytona 500, which is in late February now. So
now, how far is Daytona from you?
I'm an hour and 45 minutes.
But it's on the Gulf side, right?
Nope. It's on the Atlantic side.
Daytona's on the Atlantic side. Tampa's on the Gulf side.
Tampa's on straight west of us.
On the Gulf?
Yep.
Okay. Because my ex-wife used to have a great aunt and uncle who lived in Tampa. Like, every time her whole family are Disney fanatics. And anytime we would go to Disney World, we would stay with them for a few days.
Tampa's cool, man. I dig it.
They live so close to the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa.
Yeah.
I would walk over there at night, and the way it was structured, they had like a walking bridge over a highway.
Yep.
If you stood on that walking bridge, you could see the whole field.
It's in what is that fucking town? There's about 6 teams that go down there. It's called.
It wasn't Tampa.
No, it's south of Tampa.
But it was like
it's south across the bay of Tampa. If you know where Tampa is, that bay goes in there like a glove, like that kind of. And the main city of Tampa is like right over here. And it's across the bay down here. And I forgot the name of the town, but there's like 6 MLB training camps down there. The Red Sox go down there.
The Cardinals
Yankees.
Go down there.
Yeah.
What's the name? It's Roger Dean Stadium, but I forgot the name of the town the Cardinals training camp is in. But anyway, so you said you watch TV. What do you watch? What kind of shows are you watching?
I like documentaries, dude.
I love documentaries.
I like documentaries.
Dude, there's a series on, and I'll just give you a recommendation real quick. Most of what I watch is either documentary or kind of documentary style TV. It's not scripted, but it's not these bullshit reality shows.
I don't watch reality shows.
I can't stand 5 minutes of watching one of those. But it's a series on Amazon, and it's called like Icons Unearthed. And there'll be different, they're not really seasons, but it's like they'll have one set that's like Icons Unearthed Spider-Man, where each episode will be going through making a Spider-Man movie.
How they got
it pitched to the studio. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I just watched, and this is a trip because I know both of us got into this movie when it came out. They just put out a new set, and I think it's 6 or 7, maybe 7 episodes. That's all about the Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go look this up. I'm on Prime all the time. I've never seen it. It's
look
called
up
Icons.
Icons Unearthed.
I'm gonna have to watch that because that I love that movie series past up until about 5.
Okay, do you want me to spoil it for you?
Spoil the documentary?
Well, do you know what got it started?
The documentary or the movies?
The movies.
No, go ahead and tell me. I have no idea. Like how it got started.
There was a writer in New York. Here it is. Let me do this real quick. Share screen. Click share tab here. I'm doing this for the first time, so. Yeah, that's it. Right there. Icons Unearthed, Fast and the Furious. And it'll only show one season, but each episode is a different movie. Like that was Fast and the Furious, and then Too Fast, Too Furious, and then Tokyo Drift, and
oh, dude, I'm gonna watch that.
All that kind of stuff.
How the hell have I never seen that?
But they have a series on Star Wars, a series on Batman, and how those movies all got made.
Oh shit!
I watched every one of them except for The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And James Bond.
Okay.
Because I don't like either one of those.
Never seen one Lord of the Rings ever.
I watched all 3 of the originals before The Hobbit and all that stuff came out.
Yeah, I seen like an hour of the very first one. I was like, nope, not for me.
I watched all 3 of those when I had the flu and was stuck at home, and Karen went to Blockbuster and rented all 3 of them for me. So that tells you how long ago it was. It was rented at Blockbuster. Now, I was fading in and out of sleep. And I know there are people out there who absolutely love Lord of the Rings. They love the books. They read the Tolkien books. They read The Hobbit. And they're into it like I'm into Star Wars. More than I'm into Star Wars.
This just made me think. You asked what I do for fun at night.
Yeah.
Up until about 2 years ago, it was play Call of Duty or World of Warcraft. That's what I did.
When I texted you to make sure you were good to go tonight,
that'd be the better thing to say is I like fucking video games, and you know this.
I like video games, but I like specific video games. There are people out there who play all different kinds of games.
Well, I did too. When I played World of Warcraft, that's all I played.
When I'm playing Call of Duty,
12 years.
I played with you.
Yes. When I played Call of Duty, people go, do you have an Xbox? I go, yep, I got Call of Duty on there, and that's it. And
I have 2 games.
The last 2 versions of the game, I played 5 hours a night. You know?
Do you remember, did you play Modern Warfare 2?
I've played every one of them.
In my opinion, the best one.
Oh, yeah, I'll say that one in Modern Warfare 3. I'm partial to Modern Warfare 3.
I like the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 2 more than I like the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 3, and I played the fuck out of both of them.
Well, yeah, I've played every one of them since, hell, I even played the ones that did not have multiplayer, like the Big Red one.
Yeah.
There was like 4 before they had multiplayer, and I played all of them.
Well, multiplayer was on Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first one that came out.
That was the first one?
No, that was the first one that I played.
Oh, okay.
There was Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3, all out before those. But it was kind of weird because it was called Modern Warfare, or it's called Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
And that was the first one that they had multiplayer.
The first one I know of that had multiplayer. I know some of the earlier ones had multiplayer.
You're probably right. I kind of remember one, though, that was before that was World War II.
But there was another one that came out called Call of Duty.
But the big one you're talking about, you're absolutely correct. That's what made everybody. I remember on World of Warcraft one night, my clan were like, "Oh my god, the new modern new Call of Duty's coming out." Everybody exited the next day, like or a week later when it came out. Half the people in my clan stopped playing World of Warcraft and went to that, and probably might have been when I switched and stopped playing World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm. Was to play that.
I'd played the other ones before, but not like this.
Before you were playing World of Warcraft,
it was Star Wars.
You and I together, I kind of drug you into this. We played the shit out of Star Wars Galaxies.
Loved that game. Loved it.
Until they fucked it up. Yep. And now it's completely gone. You can't even. Their servers are dead, and
they came out with another version called Star Wars, which was kind of like it's basically like World of Warcraft with Star Wars skins, but it was horrible. Yeah. I don't even remember the fucking name of it. Came out like 3 years later or something like that. Galaxies was off the charts, dude.
When I played, when I was playing Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, everybody I worked with, and this was when I first got started in the business that I work in now, but everybody I worked with played that game. So it was every night, 15 of us in different parties. We had like 3 full parties at a time, and the headsets and playing, and we're like trying to actually be tactical. There's a guy coming up on the right, It was an every night thing, and I'm playing Black Ops 6 now, and when I texted you earlier,
I did the free preview. I can't do it.
There are 2 games on my Xbox. Black Ops 6, and it was a free game I downloaded just because it's another game type that I really like. It's called Lawnmower Simulator.
What?
Where you literally have a lawn mowing business and you go get contracts and mow yards and shit like that.
Oh, okay, that's odd. I've never would have thought that would be fun.
There was another one
people play like I've seen on Twitch, guys that have this like they're truck drivers.
Yeah, and they've got like full rigs and shit set up.
Like full setups in their house. Like the F1, like the guys that do racing games real hardcore, they have a full setup.
My nephew does that.
Got shifters and shit, fucking shit hanging down. They like got a whole fucking setup. They're talking like it's odd. But
it's what
is it any more odd than me running around as a Jedi?
No. There's another game. I forgot the exact name of it, but it's you do like off-road driving, but it's not like rally driving or super fast racing or anything like that. It's like you have to figure out how to get through different obstacles, and you're winching to get to this point, to get to that point, and shit like that. I played it for like 2 hours because I have the Microsoft Game Pass where I can download hundreds of games. You pay a monthly fee for it, and there's hundreds of games you can download.
That's like the Xbox Game Pass?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Xbox Game Pass.
I have that too, but I don't think I have the...
Then you could get Black Ops 6 for free. It's on there.
Maybe I have like the lowest tier. I don't
check it out later.
I don't know.
But I downloaded I played that game for like 2 hours, and I was like, this is the most frustrating shit I've ever tried to do before. It was like too realistic. And of course, you had to do these certain jobs to get better trucks and to get better equipment. And
I never liked games like Grand Theft Auto or none of that NFL Madden bullshit or NBA 2000. But I did like Gran Turismo.
I love Gran Turismo.
And
too bad it's PlayStation only.
Probably the only reason I ever went and bought a fucking PlayStation is to play that game again, because I haven't had a PlayStation in fucking 10, 15 years, but I used to have one and played it quite a bit. In fact, we played it before.
We played the shit out of Metal Gear Solid.
Shit out of it. That game was pretty awesome to me. So I can't even imagine what that fucking game looks like now.
Have you seen the movie?
15 years ago, the game was fucking awesome.
Have you seen the movie Gran Turismo? It's also on Amazon.
I tried to watch it.
You didn't like it?
I don't like that actor.
The coach?
The guy from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
I forgot his name. He doesn't bother me.
His name's David something. Or Dave. I don't know. I couldn't get into the film.
I just thought that it was pretty cool that it was based on a true story and a real guy.
Yeah. That's the only reason I really wanted to watch it. And then I was like, it's just not... I don't know. It didn't come across very good to me.
No, it wasn't a very good movie, but
I also liked the racing game Need for Speed.
You
remember Need for Speed Underground?
Yeah,
one of the best, most awesome racing games ever.
I like Forza Horizons, where it's kind of open world.
That's the Xbox version of Gran Turismo.
Forza Motorsports is the Xbox version of Gran Turismo, but then they kind of had an offshoot of that game called Forza Horizons, which is kind of the same thing, real cars, all that kind of shit, but it's more open world. Oh. Instead of you going from like Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, and you just start on the grid, you drive around this made up area.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
you can go from race to race, or you can just drive around the whole time.
That's cool.
It's like a persistent world where there are other people playing around you all the time. And
see, I imagine that's how when you race on Gran Turismo, you're racing other players, correct? You're not racing a computer.
You can do either. You can do multiplayer, or you can just do standalone.
I mean, both of me and you got so good at Gran Turismo on that one. We both got F1 cars.
Yeah.
We both unlocked the F1 car, and then you're like, this is like too fucking easy now. Like,
my nephew, he's got like
that game.
He's got like the racing chair and the wheel and the shifter and monitors and
that's
all that shit.
I mean,
he's really good at it.
Yeah. So yeah, gaming been a big part of my life.
I
love video games.
I like gaming, but I don't call myself a gamer, because as soon as you do, people around you who are gamers, they want to like, oh, you're not a real gamer unless you played this game. You're not a real gamer unless you played that game.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I play games that I enjoy.
You're not on Twitch, so you're not a real gamer.
Yeah. How many people think that they're going to make a living on Twitch? And
not very many.
1% of them actually 1%. Do. And most of them are good-looking young girls with big titties that are playing a game, but they have the camera. 90% of their screen is their tits, and you got a little tiny window of Fortnite that they're playing or something.
Well, that's my problem. That's my problem with the fucking new Call of Duty. Those fucking skins, and not even so much the gameplay, because I think the gameplay fucking is absolutely horrid now, or maybe I'm just not used to it because I haven't played in a while. But the skins just irritate me.
The gameplay and the movement has gotten a lot more like the Modern Warfare 2. It's still a little bit more accelerated because there's some people out there, their reflexes just work like that. They can do that.
Well,
I
so
can't.
when do you play cross platform where you're playing against guys with mouses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that.
The majority. Okay, here's what I love doing.
I'm gonna play only console players.
You can set it like that. You can turn cross platform off and only play against Xbox players.
Because dudes with mouses and keyboards fucking destroy you.
There's some of them out there that are amazing. What I like about console gaming,
he played with a mouse and keyboard.
Who did?
Dave, your
brother.
And I don't know how he did it. I really don't.
My son, I don't know how he plays Call of Duty. I'm like, dude,
he whips that mouse around. I just don't get it.
It's like I watch my son play Call of Duty, and he plays on PlayStation.
Yeah,
he's got a PS5. I watch him play it, and I'm like, dude, you're playing a totally different game. You're playing chess. I'm playing checkers.
Well,
I don't see how you do what you do.
What's the highest KDR you've ever had?
In Modern Warfare 2, I maintained a pretty consistent about 1.8 to 1, 2 to 1.
Yeah.
I get 2 kills for every death, pretty much.
I think my highest was like 1.92, 1.93.
Yeah. But there was a number at the bottom of that screen that would make you feel bad about yourself, because it would tell you the total number of accumulated hours and minutes you played. And I had like 120 days.
Jeff, I don't.
Not 120 days logging in and playing it.
I know what it is. It's
120 days, 120 24-hour days playing that game. I was like, holy shit, I have fucked away. If I spent time trying to learn how to do something, I'd be a master at it by now.
I wouldn't even want to know how many hours I put on Call of Duty. I mean, World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, if I would have spent half of that amount of time learning how to do something, I'd be an expert. But instead, I'm getting cussed at by 12-year-olds.
I mean, dude, when you have to fill out a job application to join a clan, it's something a little off. You're not playing a game anymore.
No, some people take that shit far too serious.
Like,
all right.
Anyway, that's what I like to do: game, darts, and bowling.
And to counteract that, and to say what I like to do, I spend the majority. What do you want? I spend the majority of my time, my free time. Luckily, I work from home, so I get to kind of have some luxuries that a lot of other people don't get if they have to go into work.
Right.
Working from home is a double-edged sword. It's awesome. I get up in the morning, take the dogs out, let them do their business, log into my work computer, and each day is different. Some days are busy.
You still are in the medical. Medical
device manufacturing.
You're obviously not in the shop anymore, so you must do something.
I do have to go into the shop from time to time. What I do is I program automated machinery, and the majority, about 90% of that, is done offline.
You program the shit?
Yeah.
Like write code?
No, man, all this stuff I can. There are certain tools like a CMM.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
It's one of the machines that I can write programs for. You can create a program by writing code, or you can. It's so user interfaced that you can just click icons, and if you know once you learn what you're doing, it'll write the code for you.
You've been doing that business now. 20 years, dude?
Yeah, it'll be 20 years this year. 20 years this year. Not all with the same company.
Yeah, you used to work for Medtronic.
Yeah.
I don't know who you work for now.
I work for Smith & Nephew.
Smith & Nephew.
Medtronic primarily would make spinal.
Yep, I remember. It's for spinal surgery. Like tools to do spinal surgery. Yep.
Well, and the implants and shit like that too. Somebody's like, oh, well, they had to fuse my vertebrae together. We made all the shit that once they cut you open that got screwed into your body that looked more like a mechanic at Jiffy Lube than it did a doctor. But I mean, literally using power drills. We had a line of power drills that would drill a hole in your bone and drive a screw into it.
I've seen some videos on surgeries like that where they're beating shit with hammers, and you're like, God damn.
Oh. I work for Smith & Nephew now. Smith & Nephew is primarily orthopedics, knees, hips, shoulder implants, things like that. I'll take care of yourself because the implants that they use, and somebody says, "Oh, I got a new knee." That's some brutal fucking barbaric shit, dude.
Dude.
Now,
my job,
if
I get
you're
the
in the
old folks,
situation,
just got a new hip or I just got a new knee. Like, yeah, it looks brutal.
If you're in the situation where you need that, you probably feel a lot better. But man, it's like, yeah, I'm going to try to take care of myself where I don't ever have to do that shit.
Do you ever consider yourself like you actually have a career now?
Yeah.
Like you did. I don't think I've ever had a career.
Because if something happened to this job and you know, with the way that economies adjust and shit like that changes and everybody's trying to make money, and every year it's like you see so many people just lose their job for not because they were bad at it, not because they weren't doing a good job, just like, oh, we're making cuts and people lose their job. If something happened to this job, I would find another job in the same field.
I can't say I've ever had a career. I don't consider building homes a career.
Well, you were in construction for a long time.
It was always just a job to me.
Well, do you know why I started doing this?
Because it's what's the word?
Secure.
Secure.
The last job I had before I got into this business 20 years ago, I was roofing houses.
Yes, I remember.
Roofing houses pays really good money.
Yeah.
But when it rains, you don't work.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
When it's 110 degrees outside, you're working.
Yeah.
When it's 20 degrees outside, you're working.
Believe me, 20 years in the home building business.
Yeah.
I know.
When you got to take a shit, you hope you're near a gas station or you're shitting in somebody's bushes.
Or a crappy ass fucking on the job porta john.
And everybody, no, we didn't have, this was like re-roofing.
No, I see what you're saying. You're like in a neighborhood that's been established already. There ain't porta johns there.
Putting a new roof on their house. The house is 60 years old, putting a new roof on it. There's no porta john there. You're just hoping nobody's looking out the window when you're shitting in their daisies.
Yeah, I've never had a career, I don't think. Really.
And I got sick of just the uncertainty of it. One day to the next. And everybody who works in that business, just like you when you work for framing houses for Willie.
All a bunch of fuck ups.
And you're not an employee.
No.
You're a contractor.
Yes.
So you got to handle all your own taxes.
Yes.
You got to do all that shit. I was like, man, I want a normal job. I want just a normal job. And actually my experience in framing houses and doing roofing is what got me the job that I have.
Because I went in with me for a little while.
Yeah. So Willie pissed me off.
Yeah.
And then I went in for an interview. My brother worked for Medtronic. He was doing customer service at Medtronic. He wound up working 27 years for Medtronic. He don't work for him anymore. But he said, "Hey,
like Ted Cruz," but that's a whole other story.
My brother looks like Ted Cruz. He doesn't think like Ted Cruz, though, thankfully. Me and him are completely different people. He's plays golf on the weekends, straight laced, clean shaven, buttoned up. I'm tattooed. This is a short beard for me, and
I know. Look at mine. Never grown a beard out, but anyway, yeah.
I got sick of the uncertainty, and I went in for an interview, and the guy told me, he was like, "I think you would be pretty good at this because what you'd be doing is measuring things." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to give you any false ideas about me. I don't even know what the hell you use to measure this stuff with." Micrometers, calipers, height gauges, all kinds of shit. Optical comparators. He's like, I can teach you how to use the tools, but you already know how to read a print. You can read a blueprint, make sense out of a 2D drawing to a 3D object. And that's what got me the job. And I started doing it almost 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years in May. And I got that job because I got tired of just not knowing when I was going to get paid.
And that's actually commendable because I've lived my life very different than most of my friends.
Well,
I've lived my life very
well, my son was 4 years old at the time, and I wanted to have more security to be able to take care of my kid.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't get that till I didn't learn that. Well, not learn it, but it wasn't until I was about my early 40s where I started taking work a little more seriously. But
yeah,
up until then, man, nah, dude. I didn't give, as long as I had a paycheck at the end of the week. I never, I had a chance, a couple of times I worked for Owens Corning.
Yeah, your dad's,
and my dad spent 47 fucking years there. Had I stayed there the first time I got hired, I would have been there almost 30 years now. But I quit that to go do something other bullshit, play music. Never wanted to be tied down to a fucking career. I don't know why. I wish I would have. That's just one of those things.
All right, we rambled quite a bit on this. You just said you played music, and I said earlier that I met you because you responded to an ad to be in a band. You played music. I've played music. You've done it to much longer than I have. What you want to kind of talk about that? What got you into?
What got me into what?
Well, first off, what do you play?
I'm a guitar player.
You play guitar. What got you into playing guitar?
I wanted to be a rock star.
Just like everybody.
Actually, yeah, I love music, and I love watching bands play. And I thought I played guitar when I was 13 and 14, but my stepmom was teaching me fucking.
So that was in the mid 80s.
Yeah, 1985, 86, late 80s. And my stepmom was teaching me piano and guitar, but she was teaching me fucking John Denver songs. And I was like, what the fuck? No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play fucking Leave It on a Jet Plane.
Yeah, I don't want to play Leave It on a Jet Plane. I want to play Painkiller by Judas Priest.
So yeah, I didn't play for about 5 years, and I moved to Memphis, and I just, one day I was like, I'm going to fucking learn to play fucking guitar, and I'm going to get in a fucking band. I want to do this. And my grandpa went and bought a fucking cheap Epiphone and a Sun 212 combo amp from the pawn shop. And I made myself fucking learn. And within about a year and a half, I was in a band.
You were in a band with Bobby at one time, right?
Yeah. Ended up being Primer 55.
When I say Bobby, I'm talking about Bobby Burns.
Bobby Burns. I don't remember the other guys in the band.
Who
Dirt Boy was the singer Dirt Boy from Memphis. Was the singer.
Primer 55 ended up with a record deal, and kind of during the whole new metal.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were on.
I mean, they went on tour. They were on Ozfest.
We said they were on Ozfest.
Main stage Ozfest, dude. 2000 main stage Ozfest.
And now
Godsmack played before them.
Now Bobby is playing.
Bobby doesn't play.
He plays bass in.
He played bass in not Sepultura, but
Soulfly.
Soulfly for about 10 years.
Max Cavalera's other bands. Yeah. Is he still playing with them?
No. Him and Max had a falling out. Max is apparently a real dickhead.
I've heard that.
Yep.
Never met him.
Real controlling, real James Hetfield times 100. When James and Lars were dickheads in the band, you're not playing anything but this. That's how Max is, and Bobby was like, I can't fucking do this shit anymore. In fact, I think I saw Bobby on a podcast. I'm not friends with him anymore. I was friends with him on Facebook for a while, but I hadn't talked to him in a long time.
You've had brushes with success in playing music.
Yeah. If I hadn't moved to Dallas, I would have been in Primer 55 and gone on tour.
So obviously you're good at what you do.
I used to be fairly well at playing guitar. My chops are shit now.
Because you're not playing
I don't
regularly
play every day like I used to. And that is a very fucking sore spot in me. And it's weird because I know I can change that by just picking my guitar up.
And you're still playing guitar, right?
I still play. I got one right there.
And for me, I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. About the same time period, that 83, 84, I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen because I thought he was the coolest guy in the world. He's definitely one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived.
Absolutely.
I don't care if you don't like rock music. I don't care if you don't like rock music. If you don't like, I would never consider Van Halen metal, but they got thrown into that metal.
They're hard rock.
Yeah, they're rock.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. My little brother's just shy of I was born in November of 73. He was born in August of 76.
He played drums, correct?
He got a drum kit. He wanted to play drums. Every day I would get home from school, because we only had a certain amount of time where he could play drums, because my parents didn't want to listen to boom bap
right
all night long at home. So it was like, we got out of school, latchkey kids, because we're Gen X. We didn't have fucking daycare and somebody following behind us with a diaper all the goddamn time. We'd get off the school bus, run to the house, and I would take over his drum kit. I would started playing his drums. And he started playing my cheap ass little service merchandise, literally service merchandise Strat copy.
Yeah.
With a tiny little battery, one of those little 1/8-inch speaker practice amps. And he got to be really, really, really good at it. And he still plays guitar today. Never had the ambition of playing in bands or anything like that. He's that guy who goes into the music store and plays, the intro to Stairway to Heaven and shit like that. But, he's a really good guitar player, really likes playing guitar, totally different style of music than I'm into.
I mean, the better question would be to ask you if I'm a good guitar player, because what I think I am is totally different than what somebody on the outside watching me play. Like, I think at the time when when I played in bands, absolutely thought I was a very good guitar player. Now, I'm not, I never wanted to be a lead guitar player.
I'll tell you what I think, and you can tell me if it's a compliment or not.
Okay.
Because I was around her band from the day it got started.
Yeah.
I taught her how to play power chords on the guitar.
Yeah.
Which is all she knew how to play. But, many people have written a lot of great songs using just power chords. I was there before you joined the band. I heard all the songs that she wrote, because she was kind of like the James Hetfield,
right.
I wrote this, it goes this way, you play it this way kind of person.
I straightened her out on that real quick.
I heard all her shit. When you joined the band playing the same songs I'd heard thousands of times before, they all got better.
Yeah, that's a compliment.
I
think,
and not because you came in ripping the fretboard apart up and down the fret. In a lot of ways, you simplified the overly complicated shit to create stronger riffs in the songs.
Probably because my heroes were always rhythm guys. Like Steve Clark is my hero from Def Leppard. That's why I played my guitar so fucking low. I just always liked the rhythm. And also Tool, Adam Jones was a big influence on me, because I liked odd time signatures and weird
string skips
and just weird ways to play shit. And probably and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I don't know if I could have been a better guitar player if I switched the way I played, but I didn't want to.
No, I mean, I think that the best musicians, they find their thing, and they just keep sharpening their thing.
No, I couldn't go up and rip a solo. I mean, I could rip a solo. I mean, you saw me do it in Dorian Underground, but it was like very blues. I'm not going to get up there and do an Eddie because I just never studied that.
Well, you listen to Jimmy Page. You listen to Jimmy Page, and he was just a blues player turned up to 11.
Right. I mean,
a great one. Now, I want to state this in case anybody else is listening. It's because it's a pet peeve of mine. There is a difference between saying the best and
there's no
my favorite.
There's no the best.
Especially when you're talking about something that's done in a creative field.
Yeah.
There is no the best guitar player.
You're exactly correct.
We could argue for 200 hours on that and never come to. We would have a lot of them that we think are great, but
like it's weird. It's funny that you said that because you said think of subject. I was going like Ozzy's best guitar player,
Zakk Wylde.
I'm going to go Jakey Lee.
I think most people
doesn't mean Jake is better, or doesn't mean Zakk is better.
They're different.
They're totally different guitar players.
Okay, what's my favorite band ever?
Black Label Society? No, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. I've been a Pearl Jam fan since 1991. The first time I remember where I was at when I saw the video for Alive for the first time.
I can get down with some Pearl Jam, dude. Not Pearl Jam favorite band of all time, but I like Pearl Jam.
All right, well, to back up a little bit, I spent time driving my parents crazy playing drums on a cheap-ass Ludwig drum kit. Not one of the good John Bonham Ludwig drum kits, but a cheap little Ludwig drum kit. Till I got a little bit of money and I bought my own drum kit.
I kind of remember, was it white?
No. My second one was white.
Okay, that's the one I remember.
And it was a Mapex drum kit. I got super heavily influenced by all of that Seattle. They call it grunge, but I guess that's the best way to call it that. But what I loved about that whole movement coming out of Seattle was Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and even Nirvana to an extent. And I'm not a Nirvana fan.
I can't stand them. It's an overrated band ever. Sorry.
Some people out there love them, and I'm never going to tell somebody they're wrong for loving Nirvana. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I didn't like the music of Nirvana. When I say I like or I don't like a band, it's going to be based on their music, not the way the members of the band act outside.
The other Seattle bands, fucking amazing.
Soundgarden was amazing. Alice in Chains, just mind-blowing. Pearl Jam has always been my favorite. And Pearl Jam had 5 different drummers.
Okay, I didn't know that. I mean, I did know that. The one I like the best is David
Brucey.
Brucey, yeah.
He is my favorite. That's the whole reason I said there's a difference between best and favorite.
The blonde hair kid plays drums or he did after that, correct? From Soundgarden.
He still plays with him.
Oh, he still plays with him?
Yeah, he's been with them for like 20-something years. Matt Cameron. Dave Crewson was their first drummer. He is the drummer that recorded 10, their first album. He recorded all but I think 2 songs on 10. He had some substance issues and needed to go get that fixed. So he left the band to go clean his shit up. He is now the drummer for Candlebox.
I did not know that.
He has been the drummer for Candlebox the whole time. You know, the Left Behind. Great band. I think they're a great band. Never got the liftoff that I think that they deserved.
They were like right there, and then that whole scene died out.
Yeah. Exactly. New metal took over, and that whole kind of dirtier rock grunge style that Stone Temple Pilots came into, because it expanded outside of Seattle, because Stone Temple Pilots were a California band.
Right.
If you listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers around that time, they kind of gravitated more to their punk roots.
I can't stand the Chili Peppers, but I do love the album with Dave Navarro playing guitar.
He was on several. He was on more than one.
I don't like them.
They've got. I'm not a huge Chili Peppers fan, but they've got some songs I like.
But
what I'm getting at is grunge. The grunge, MTV coined grunge, went outside of just Seattle. But I think what made those Seattle bands so great is they were so isolated. They weren't a New York band. They weren't a Southern California band. They weren't surrounded by.
You are absolutely correct.
If you were a New York band, you had to sound like the Ramones.
They weren't an LA Sunset Strip fucking
If you
band.
were LA Sunset Strip, you had to sound like Motley Crue or Van Halen or one of those bands. So they had.
Did you know
they had influences from punk, from hardcore, from rock, from all different styles of music pulled together to create. And grunge is nothing but rock. Grunge is just rock music.
And the weird thing is, they all sound different.
100%. You listen to Soundgarden, and then you listen to Alice in Chains, and you go, how did these two bands play at the same club on the same night?
Alice in Chains went on tour with Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, who the fuck is this? Like, Slayer fans were like, but then they started playing Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Screaming Trees, Mudhoney. They all sounded different, but they were from the same. I totally get that they were from fucking Seattle, but I think that's what made them great. Every fucking Sunset Strip band sounded the fucking same.
Sounded exactly the same. There was actually a great band for that style of music. Not going to say they're all-time greats. They belong with Black Sabbath on Mount Rushmore of rock bands, but there was a band called Trickster.
Oh yeah,
that were really good.
I seen them open up for a band.
The Dangerous Toys.
Yes.
That was a great band. Yep. They were from here. They're from Memphis. But they got lumped into all the rest of them. And I think one of the we'll call that hair metal. We'll go
hair metal.
The best hair metal band did not get the recognition they deserved.
And who was that?
Who would you think?
Who's the best hair metal band?
Yeah. Who would you say, in your opinion? Maybe it's because I hate Bret Michaels' vocals. I can't stand Poison. CC DeVille, hell of a guitar
If you're going to say, I don't think Motley Crue was hair metal.
No, that's not where I was going.
But I think the best hair metal band to me was fucking Poison.
In my opinion, it was Skid Row.
I would never call them a hair metal band.
They got lumped in with it, though.
They did not have spandex and like neon colors.
Because they were from the East Coast.
To me, they're a hard rock band, and I love Skid Row.
I think Skid Row's second album, their Slave to the Grind album, is one of the best rock albums I've ever heard.
So you could make a fucking 10-hour podcast about the family tree of music.
Yeah, how Bon Jovi discovered Skid Row.
Like, what's hair metal? What's hard rock? What's fucking it? Yeah, but I would not call Skid Row hair metal.
Earlier, when I said
hair metal to me is Poison, Winger, Enough's Enough,
Cinderella.
Well, see, I wouldn't even call Cinderella hair metal.
Cinderella was
they're almost there, but there's
it's the same way that you've got to look at grunge. Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, the big three of grunge, sounded nothing alike, but they all got lumped into the same genre because of the time that they were popular, the way they looked.
Yeah.
And they all played rock music. So the same way Skid Row gets lumped into hair metal is because the time they were popular, the way they looked, and the style of music at that time.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I wouldn't call Van Halen a hair metal band.
No, absolutely
but
not.
they're constantly called a hair metal band because they were popular in the mid to late 80s into the 90s. They wore spandex and teased up hair and all that crazy shit. And
see, I've never heard Van Halen called hair metal.
I've heard it all the time.
They've always just been a hard rock
They're just
band.
a rock band. Why can't we just say they're a rock band? Jimi Hendrix Experience, rock band. Cream, rock band. Cinderella, rock band.
Yeah.
Twisted Sister, rock band.
Yes.
Several decades apart. They're just all rock bands.
That's that thing with that family tree. It's so stupid. Yeah. It really gets weird when you start talking to metal guys that are into metal, and then you get off into these sub fucking genres of stoner metal. I used to think fucking death metal, fucking Swedish, Swedish, what they call like In Flames is called melodic death metal.
Okay,
it's all fucking metal, dude. You know what I'm saying?
It started with Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to make cases for bands like Deep Purple and stuff like that, but
Deep Purple supposedly has the first. Well, no, Black Sabbath has the first heavy metal song.
Most people would consider Black Sabbath to be the godfathers of heavy metal.
They are.
And
I think Deep Purple would probably be their American equivalent.
Yeah, probably. I still listen to Black Sabbath today. War Pigs is one of my favorite songs.
I can get down with some Black Sabbath. I like Ozzy's solo better, but I can get down with Black Sabbath.
I was mad that when Ozzy's guitar player, when Zakk Wylde put together a band called Zakk Sabbath.
I've seen videos of it.
They're on tour right now.
Yep.
I was pissed off that they're not coming anywhere close to here.
Oddly enough, the very first song I ever learned to play from start to finish, minus the solo, was War Pigs.
It's a great song. And do you know, I never listened to Black Sabbath until I heard on a Faith No More album, they did they put a live recording of a cover of War Pigs on a Faith No More album. And I listened to that, and it said written by O. Osborne, T. Iommi, B. Ward, G. Butler. I was like, who are these guys? And a friend of mine was like, dude, that's Black Sabbath. That's a Black Sabbath song.
I seriously could talk about Faith No More for 2 hours.
One of my all-time favorite bands. I think Mike Patton,
because I only recently kind of got into their catalog. I've always liked probably like 10 songs of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of, sometimes you go down rabbit holes on the internet. And I started reading about Mike Patton. And I went, holy shit, I'm going to listen to some more of their shit. And I went, God, oh fucking mighty.
I think Mike Patton.
That guy might be the most undervalued or underrated vocalist in metal.
Musician
on the planet that nobody knows about. Except Faith No More fans.
I think he belongs in the same conversations as far as great musicians.
His vocal range
is amazing. But hang on, let me finish.
He's off the charts.
I think he belongs in the same conversations as Prince on great musicians. It is a crime, and you should be put in jail if you call Prince a great singer.
Oh my God.
He was so much more.
I would slap the shit out of you if you said that. He's so much
songwriter, composer, could play any instrument. If it made a noise, that little motherfucker could make beautiful sounds come out of it.
I will put him in my top 3 guitar players of all fucking time.
And most people don't know him as a guitar player.
No. So I saw this documentary years ago. Prince walks into a little blues bar in fucking North Mississippi. No, just regular clothes. Not all like dolled up like Prince would get dolled up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Walks in there with his band and they play the blues for 2 hours, and it's a documentary.
Wow.
And it's probably the most amazing shit you've ever seen, because everybody knows Prince as he's wearing fucking makeup. No, he walked in there with like looking like me, strapped that Telecaster on, and fucking threw down.
I heard somebody say Prince is the only man that could wear makeup and high heels and take your woman from you.
Or ask Jimi Hendrix who his favorite guitar player is, or who's the best guitar player. I don't know. Ask Prince. You know that old.
Yeah,
he gets a lot of respect in the guitar playing. I think only guitar players know that he was a badass guitar player. Everybody else just sees him as fucking Prince.
And I think that him being the musician that we now know that he was, Mike Patton is right there with him creatively. Absolutely. Now, Mike Patton didn't play guitar. He didn't play drums. He didn't play all the other instruments. But if you want to really see something cool, look up on YouTube a band called Tomahawk.
I've actually seen them live.
Mike Patton's band.
Yep. I saw them on the Warped Tour, I believe.
It was
the Warped Tour.
That was way more experimental, avant-garde than Faith No More or anything like that. Where he's playing almost looking like a fucking DJ with a keyboard and synthesizers and all different kinds of stuff around him while he's singing and playing like two different patterns. My brain doesn't work like that.
Am I crazy thinking that fucking the guitar player for that band?
Which one?
Tomahawk.
Okay, I don't know any of the band members.
I almost think that fucking dude from Rage played on some of their songs. That could
Tom Morello?
I think Tom Morello played on some Tom. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Did you like Rage Against the Machine or Audio Slave more?
Fuck. Rage Against the Machine.
I couldn't stand Rage Against the Machine. I did
not like Tom. I like both of them, but I guess as a fucking full, like, as their whole catalog.
There are some songs Audio Slave did that I think are just amazing. Even the first song that we got to know Audio Slave with, Cochise. Remember the video with the riding up the elevator and all that stuff? And I'm like, Chris Cornell is playing with Rage Against the Machine? This is crazy. But it just worked.
They're kind of like, I can't say one is better than the other, I guess.
I'm a much bigger fan of Audio Slave than
I will say that
Machine.
Rage's album before the Battle of LA.
Yeah.
I learned every fucking song on that album. So it kind of so I guess I'm kind of partial to Rage.
I guess I didn't.
One thing it taught me as a guitar player is that once you guitar players are creatures of habit.
Mm-hmm.
So once I learned Killing in the Name, the rest of the album was fairly easy because Tom plays kind of in the same pocket.
Yeah.
And you can figure out his songs pretty easily. So I'm partial. That was probably the first album I learned that really got me to learn to play guitar. Was I learned every song on that album because I did learn Killing in the Name. Then I went, oh, let me try another song by them. Bomb Track, right in the same pocket. I can't do all that crazy shit he does with his fucking solos and shit, but as far as just the rhythm, I could play that whole album.
Well, if you listen to Rage Against the Machine, they were super heavily influenced by all the funk bands, the P-Funk, blah.
You know who they remind me of? A band called MC5.
MC5 out of Detroit. Kick Out the Jams, that kind of band.
Yep. Problem is I don't like his vocals, but I like the music. So I guess Audio Slave is badass because it's got fucking Chris Cornell.
One of the best singers we've ever gotten a chance to listen to. But before we...
Why do all the good singers fucking have to die off? Him and fucking Lane Staley? What the fuck?
Well, Lane Staley...
Chester Bennington?
Jesus. Well, just in a short period of time, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, Scott Weiland, gone. And I made a joke that somebody better be following Eddie Vedder around with a roll of bubble wrap to keep him safe. but he's still, Pearl Jam's been around for 30 plus years, 34 years, and they're still touring. Like, they just released an album and got signed, and they're on the road, and a little bit less now because, they're in their 50s.
I will say the best harmonies I've ever heard in a band are fucking Lane and
Jerry Cantrell. Yeah. Jerry Cantrell could have been a frontman lead singer himself. Yeah, well, he was.
He sings a lot of those songs that nobody knows.
Like, he wrote most of them.
Like, he sings parts of those songs where you can't even tell between. Well, you can if you're an Alice in Chains fan, but a lot of times you don't know that that's fucking him singing the harmony.
Yeah.
He lives in Oklahoma.
Do what?
He lives in the fucking middle of buttfuck Egypt, Oklahoma, on a ranch.
He's a simple dude. Well, it's like you look at all the members of Pearl Jam.
Is it true that Eddie doesn't like to fly?
I don't know how true that is, and I'm like,
he doesn't have to. He's not going to. He's going to be on a bus.
Well, he did a whole tour where he drove around in a VW bus while the whole rest of the band would fly off.
Yeah, I heard that he doesn't like to fly.
He would drive a VW bus from like one city to the next, and if you watched like the PJ-20 documentary that came out that was directed by Cameron Crowe, I've seen that probably 5 or 6 times.
Are all the original members still in that band besides the drummer?
Besides the drummer, yeah.
But Matt Cameron's been playing them 20 years now, right?
Yeah, 20 plus years.
Stone Gossard's still there, and
Stone Gossard, Jeff Ament,
and
Mike McCready. And they've even had a keyboard player who doesn't record. Well, he does record with them, but they don't. He's considered a touring musician with them.
Yeah.
He's been touring with them for 20 fucking years. A guy named Boone Gosper, who plays like organ and keyboard and
stuff
like
part of the band now, right?
Yeah, I'm like, why wasn't he on the stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they got inducted?
You know what I like about Eddie Vedder is his voice was different.
Just
his
today,
voice was different.
Just today alone, I don't know why I got into a groove of wanting to listen to Pearl Jam, and was listening to the new album, the Dark Matter album. Some fantastic songs. They have a song on there called "Waiting for Stevie."
Yeah,
because Stevie Wonder was supposed to come record a song with him, and he was late. So they wrote a song called "Waiting for Stevie." Stevie fucking Wonder. But
I think their best, dude, their fucking first album is a fucking game changer, dude.
With that, most of the music for that album was written for Mother Love Bone.
Yeah.
Stone and Jeff wrote most of that stuff together. And then when Andrew Wood died and the band fell apart, and then Stone and Jeff decided, well, actually, Jeff and Mike McCready started playing together. Mike McCready was in another band in Seattle called Shadow. They started playing together. And Mike kept saying, hey, we need to call your boy Stone. We need to call your boy Stone. Well, Jeff had already been in a band with Stone called Green River.
Yep, Green River.
And then they formed Mother Love Bone. And when Mother Love Bone fell apart, Jeff was like, I've been playing with him for a long time. I don't know if I want to keep playing with him. But he finally just called him up because Mike kept saying, hey, I want to play with your boy Stone. Call Stone. So the three of them got together and wrote pretty much all the music for the 10 album. And I'll tell you something else really funny after this. Well, then they needed a drummer. Well, Dave Cruson was available. He was a local Seattle drummer. He'd been playing in bands, and the sense of community you get out of those bands, like when people talk about an LA strip band, they would try to fuck each other up as much as they can, like cut their cables for their amps.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Steal shit and try to fuck each other up. Whereas in the Seattle scene, they were all trying to help each other and boost each other up. Yep. And, so nobody got mad if you played drums in this band one day and then you played drums in this band the next day. So they added Dave Cruson to play drums to write these demos. Well, and because that demo wound up in Eddie Vedder's hands, who lived in San Diego, California at the time. He recorded vocals over it, and then they were like, "Come up to Seattle."
Back and forth, right? Through the mail. Correct?
He sent it one time.
Yeah. Like, one time, yeah.
He recorded 3 songs. One of them became a live. The other one became, I want to say Even Flow.
Yeah.
And then the third one became the song Daughter, but it was originally called Brother. And
I love that line in that one song about violins and violence.
Yeah. Now, but that's what got Eddie to Seattle, and then they formed Pearl Jam. Well, Dave Cruson had never thought he was going to be a regular member of the band. And so he went off to rehab to get his shit worked out. And then they hired another local Seattle drummer, not hired, but he joined the band, called Matt Chamberlain. If you watch the Alive video, Matt Chamberlain's playing drums. And then you watch the Even Flow video, and Dave Ebersy is playing drums. And now Dave Ebersy went back into the studio and re-recorded like 3 songs for the drums for like 3 different songs. And he wrote and recorded 2 albums, the Versus album, which a lot of people consider to be Pearl Jam's best album. And then my favorite Pearl Jam album, the Vitology album, the one with Spin the Black Circle, Better Man, all those songs. But
my favorite is still their first one.
I don't think anybody could argue that is a groundbreaking. I hate. Let me tell you something. I hate the fact that Nirvana's Nevermind came out first.
Yeah, fuck. I get you. Fuck Nirvana. There's more talent in fucking Pearl Jam than there. And don't get me wrong. Dave, what the fuck's it? Foo Fighter guy, great musician.
Dave Grohl. He's a good musician. I like Dave Grohl. I like
great musician. Foo Fighters. I like a couple of their songs. Some of their. I'd go see them live.
What I like the most about Dave Grohl is he's got so much respect for other musicians.
I fucking cannot stand Nirvana. I think fucking Kurt Cobain was.
Have you heard?
I fucking think he was a fucking cancer on guitar playing. Because he did.
And the fact of it is,
to me, I don't.
For that style of music,
if somebody were to come out here and go, "You're stupid," like, no, he didn't give a fuck about playing. He didn't give a shit if his guitar was tuned. He didn't give a fuck about playing live. He didn't even want to be a musician. Man, fuck off, dude. Fuck off and go kill yourself and do heroin. I'm sorry.
That's kind of what I didn't understand about that is, oh, I don't want to be famous.
Yeah,
then fucking don't.
Fuck off. Then don't do it.
Go get a job at 7-Eleven
shit
and
songs.
Quit.
Because I think their songs are shit. Honestly.
They have one song that I really, really, really like.
The only song I've ever liked by them was Rape Me.
I like Territorial Pissings.
But other than that, no, I hate them. There's 5 bands that I think are most overrated in the world, and they're in the 5.
Do you know the Pearl Jam song Yellow Ledbetter?
Yes.
I learned this recently.
About Nirvana.
That was
I don't even know what the song's about. Yeah, I know the song though.
Well, it was recorded when they recorded 10. And they recorded the album. But Eddie didn't have lyrics to it.
It's on their second album, right?
It came out as a B-side between the first and second record. Okay. They put out like an EP with 5 songs on it. Rearview Mirror was one of them. And Yellow Ledbetter was one of them. Eddie didn't have lyrics to it, but they always recorded live. Yeah. They didn't do drum track and then do bass track and then do like a lot of bands do. Yes. A lot of studios, that's the way they do things. They would record everything live, and then if they had to come back and punch something up,
fix it in a mix, re-record it, right?
But then Eddie would always come back and re-record the vocals, but he would sing while they were recording because it helped the band flow together. It created that energy that they had.
I mean, yeah, a lot of bands do that. The singer will just come in there and kind of hum in key what he's or sing,
but he's not
just dumb lyrics.
He's not going all out trying to record the final version that's going to be on the album.
Right.
Might take it easy to keep his voice okay or something like that.
I'm gonna guess that they fucking one take they did it.
He didn't have lyrics for the song,
and he was just free flowing.
And that's why he was just mumbling and free flowing. He was just there to create like, this is a verse, this is going to be the chorus, and this is a verse. Well, then when 10 blew up so much, and the record company was like, we need to put something else out, and they're like, we don't have an album yet. I'm like, give us whatever you have. They put that song out, and those are like temporary vocals. And now everybody, because
that's the track that everybody hears today.
Because somebody asked Eddie, was like, what are the vocals to Yellow Ledbetter? Eddie would say, there are vocals? Are there lyrics? But they just put it out like that, and they still play it that way today. I saw a video, 2024 Pearl Jam, Yellow Ledbetter at some live show, and he's still doing the same because he didn't have lyrics.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah? And we're going to wrap it up pretty quick.
Yeah. This is one last question. You're talking about Seattle sound, the LA sound. Do you think it's just coincidence that bands from a certain area sound the way they sound? So I'm going to give a couple of examples. Okay. Obviously, the LA sound in the 80s. Mm-hmm. The biggest example I can think of is rock bands from Atlanta, like metal bands like Mastodon or Baroness. They all have this sort of cohesive sound. And then you can like New York style hardcore, Hatebreed, Biohazard, that same, they're different, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I can listen to a band and go, they're from fucking, that's New York style hardcore, or that's LA hard rock, or they're from the fucking Norway or Sweden. Why do you think that is? Even Texas, like I can tell a band is a Dallas, Texas rock band. They have just that vibe.
I think that people, not bands, but people, you're shaped by your environment. Wherever you grow up, wherever you spend most of your time, you're shaped by that environment.
Yeah.
And the people who are making that music, that's just an expression of themselves.
Right.
So when you
even go rap bands from Atlanta, rap bands from Houston, rap bands from New York, rap guys from LA.
Or Memphis rap.
Totally, you can hear it immediately.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about like the East Coast, Northeast, New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., those bands, you listen to Black Flag, they don't sound anything like the Dead Kennedys.
Oh, and New York and D.C., two totally different sounding punk.
They're very hard,
the
very aggressive.
Punk scene so different than the New York punk scene.
Yeah. New York was ran by the Ramones.
Yeah.
If they knew how
got Bad Brains and fucking Minor Threat.
Minor Threat and Fugazi
and all that shit.
And I heard somebody make this statement, and it didn't really click to me until I really thought about it. If the band members of the Ramones knew how to play their instruments, they would have been a Beach Boys pop band.
Brilliant.
If you listen to them, it makes sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's very much doo-wop-ish at 10 times speed. And
there's a video you need to
Marshall amp on 10.
There's a video you need to go find. It was from who was the singer from? Was that Joey or John? Was that Joey Ramone was the singer?
Joey Ramone was the singer, I'm pretty sure.
Marky was the drummer.
Marky was the drummer.
There was a video.
Joey.
I'm pretty sure Joey was the singer.
They all start with the same Joey, Jim. I don't know.
But yeah, I'm not a Ramones
Joey
expert.
Ramone was the singer, though.
And after he passed away, they did a memorial show in New York with a bunch of people playing Ramones songs.
Yeah.
And it was Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols on guitar.
Yeah.
Marky Ramone on drums. I forgot his name, but he was a bass player from Black Flag playing bass.
Oh, God. Yeah, would never remember that.
And Henry Rollins singing. And they did like 4 Ramone songs.
There's only one Ramone left.
Marky.
He has a show on satellite radio or some shit.
But Marky Ramone was playing drums, Rollins singing, and which I don't think you could ever call what Henry Rollins does singing, but he fit, and it was perfect. But you take the environment that these people grew up in, and I think that becomes reflective in their music.
Could be. Because it is. I've thought about that a lot. Like, and the biggest example is Mastodon and Baroness. They're all from Atlanta. And if you've ever listened to Mastodon, they're kind of like a Tool meets Black Sabbath meets like Rush. I don't know. They're an odd band. They're a good band, but odd. And Baroness is from Atlanta area. And they sound so fucking similar, but different.
Yeah.
Like, immediately you can, if you knew where Mastodon was from, and you paid attention, and you heard Baroness, and now you're going to go listen to Baroness tonight, but if you listen to Baroness, you would go, these motherfuckers, are they neighbors?
Are they copying each other?
I mean, you can say that about Los Angeles, too. Like, all those bands that came out of the Sunset Strip, they all sound different, but they all look the same, and they all kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I think what's funny is the ones that we remember, the Motley Crues, the Van Halens.
It's almost like
the kind of like the top
70s fucking drug rock, like the Eagles. There's probably 4 other bands that sound exactly like that. You could tell they were from the 70s and they were from LA. That LA drug scene music.
But I think the LA Sunset Strip bands that we remember, and I'm just pulling them out of thin air, what makes them memorable and why we still remember them is they sounded different. Motley Crue does not sound like Van Halen.
No.
But they're both. Guns N' Roses does not sound like Cinderella.
What do you need light in your background?
Make sure you tell her she's got to come on one day.
Yeah, he wants to talk to you about flight attendants.
Oh, where do I start?
Not now. We're already an hour and a half into this.
So we're going to wrap this up because people are going to be like, what the fuck? These 2 morons.
Shut up.
Oh, I love it. I'm so happy.
But, yeah, I think that's what is so creative about Seattle is most of those guys didn't grow up in Seattle. They just ended up there.
It ended up there.
And there was no blueprint already put down ahead of them where you had this club is a punk club and this club is a rock club and this place is a dance place. It was like, we'll take music however we can get it.
Right.
Because before the Seattle explosion in the early 90s, other than Jimi Hendrix, do you know of anybody else that came from Seattle? Okay.
That's it. That's all I can think of. I'm sure there's others.
I didn't know Hart was from Seattle.
That's the only 2 bands I know from Seattle, Hendrix and Hart. I mean,
I don't even know because I thought Jimi Hendrix grew up in Alabama. I didn't even know he was.
No, I'm pretty sure he was born in Seattle.
I didn't know if he went to Seattle after he got out of the Army or.
I think he was born in Seattle.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I didn't really know that Jimi Hendrix was connected to Seattle until recently.
Yeah, I thought he was born there, and then
I could look it up on Google, but
I don't think he ever went back to Seattle after going to the Army and going to Europe and shit.
I think it was hilarious that he was Little Richard's guitar player.
Right.
Like the Purple Haze guy?
I have a problem with Jimi Hendrix. I love the guy, but was he that great?
I think Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I can name 5 other guitar players that I think were fucking more amazing than him.
I think he influenced a lot of people, but what he was doing at that time was new.
Exactly.
And nobody had heard it before.
10 years later, probably, would he be? I'm sure he'd be the same because he was a fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong. Not that he was an amazing guitar player.
He was highly, highly influential.
Yeah.
And I might piss off a lot of people when I say this, but how many bands did the Beatles influence? I don't like the Beatles.
I don't either. I can only think of one band, Oasis.
I think there were tons of bands who were influenced. Most pop music, maybe not now, but up until like through the 70s and the 80s, the pop bands were influenced by the Beatles. Not trying to be the Beatles, but they were drawn.
Stones kick their ass.
The Stones were more of a blues rock.
I think the Beatles music is like, I get it. It's probably like, you know what? It's because they were first time on a fucking American TV. But the Stones were doing the same shit in London. I think Beatles were, correct?
I think the Stones were much more. I enjoyed the Stones much more than I did the Beatles. And you don't realize how many Beatles songs you know until you start getting through their catalog. You know a lot more Beatles songs than you think you do.
Right.
But
it's like going to see Kiss. You might not like them, but I guarantee you
know their shit.
Probably 90% of their fucking songs.
Yeah. But yeah, to answer what you were asking, I think it's just got a lot to do with the environment that people grow up in. If you grow up in New York, it's not the same as growing up in LA.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I get that.
If you grow up in Atlanta, a city that is heavily influenced by Black culture, you're going to get a different experience than somebody who grows up in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
I think it's just all got to do with.
It's just the
environment that shapes the people.
Because when they say the Seattle sound.
There is no Seattle sound.
There is no Seattle sound. Alice in Chains does not sound anything like Pearl Jam. Soundgarden does not sound like anything like Pearl Jam or Alice in Chains.
No.
Mudhoney doesn't sound like any of those. Screaming, they're all different.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end this here, but I've got one more assignment for you. And while you think about it, I'm going to give you my answer first. Okay? I'm going to give you an assignment. Before we do this again, you have to go watch this documentary.
Okay.
It's on Netflix. I just watched it today, and I'm blanking on the name.
What's it about?
A guitar store.
I just watched it last week.
Norman's Rare Guitars.
Yes.
I just watched it today.
It was awesome.
It was incredible. Tom Petty, George Harrison, which I know I said I don't like the Beatles.
Fucking warehouse with all those guitars. I can't even imagine what the fuck's in those boxes.
Crates of them.
Crates. Up to the ceiling.
Not like a small crate.
No.
You can sit inside of it.
5 by 5 or 6 by 6 by 6 by 10 by, like, it's a fucking crate you can live in.
And stacked.
Full of fucking guitars.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
Guitars.
I came across it like 2 weeks ago.
I came across it today.
Great documentary.
And I was like, wow. And I think it's hilarious that the guy was making money flipping guitars in Miami out of the newspaper and buying like a jazz bass for $50 and then selling it for $100. And then before he knows it, he's got a 3-bedroom apartment full of guitars.
I can't, like, I bet his fucking inventory is worth
millions. Tens of millions.
Millions of millions. Because he's got guitars. So there used to be, not to drag this on, I used to follow this thing called the Guitar of the Day.
Yeah.
They would go back in the fucking thing, open up a case and go, here's a 1967 ES335.
Yeah.
And they did it I don't know if they did it every day, but once a week or some bullshit. They would get, and I didn't realize it was the same guitar shop until they went back into not his warehouse, just the back of his fucking store where they have the stacks of guitars.
Yeah, they said that was like
they would just pull one out and go, this is the Guitar of the Day. It was on Facebook.
What I thought was cool,
it was the same shop.
What I thought was cool about that shop is, I mean, you had not famous people who were not musicians, like Jeff Daniels, Malcolm McDowell, Kiefer Sutherland, Frank Stallone, hanging out there and buying guitars there.
Or just coming to hang out and end up buying a fucking $10,000 guitar.
Well, I think what was really cool that they did once, because I mean, this dude started in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
But once YouTube came around and social media came around, if somebody came in the store and was really good, first off, the thing I love about them is every guitar in there, you were welcome to pick up and play. Didn't matter if
he would want you to.
Yeah.
Oh, that guitar is $15,000. I can't touch it. No, pick that motherfucker up.
No, pick that motherfucker up and play it.
Put it in that 67 fucking Marshall right there and play it.
Yeah, and somebody would be like, I scratched the guitar, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't buy this. And he's like, fucking don't worry about it. What happens?
That's cool. That's a good
guitars
show.
Are made, and he was like, guitars are made to be played.
Speaking of documentaries, I'll tell you one you should go watch.
But hang on. But what I loved about it was that guy, or not that guy, that his staff, the people there, would start filming
people just jamming.
People just jamming. And then they'd put them out on YouTube. And there are people who've gotten fucking record deals and shit like that out of it.
I know.
Post Malone was there before he had tattoos all over his face.
Oddly enough, he's a really good guitar player.
I don't want to say it, but he is a damn good musician.
I like Post Malone. I don't like his music. I like him.
I don't like his music. I mean, he seems like a cool guy. I think he looks like ridiculous.
You should go watch the documentary Hired Guns.
About the session guitar players.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, well, since you already seen what I was going to tell you to watch, I'm going to give you a YouTube video to watch. Go to YouTube and look up Faith No More, Poker Face.
Okay.
When Faith No More did a cover of Lady Gaga's Poker Face live, they did a reunion. They did a festival set, one show only, where they all got back together except for Jim Martin, the original guitar player with the big hair and the glasses. Yeah. He didn't come back for it, but
he's growing pumpkins. That's what he does now. He grows pumpkins.
I thought he was good buddies with everybody in Metallica and shit like that. Northern California
pumpkins like the size of cars.
But that whole Mike Borden, Mike Patton, Roddy, I forget his name, the bass player, I forgot his name. But they came out and did a cover of Lady Gaga's Poker Face.
I'm gonna go look it up.
It was fucking amazing. They went from that into one of their songs. I think Chinese Arithmetic, or forgot the name of the song. But they went from that song into another song. But there's no doubt what they're playing when they're playing Poker Face.
I'll have to check that out, dude. That sounds awesome.
It's pretty fucking great. But yeah, I've seen Hired Guns.
All right.
I watch documentaries all the time. You need to go watch that.
I'm going to go watch the one about the fucking icon thing.
You're going to end up watching all of them.
I know. I'm going to tell my wife, better watch out. I'm going to watch this bullshit.
I mean, they got a whole series on Star Wars.
I kind of interested in the Fast and the Furious one.
It's really good. And I'm not going to tell you now, you'll see it when you watch it. But the way that got the treatment that became the screenplay, that became the script, that became the movie, what started it all is fucking hilarious.
Doesn't the producer of the movie own that greenish, I'm colorblind. He owns that greenish Nissan. When he goes, oh, fuck. When the guy goes, in the very first one, he goes, beat it, pizza boy. The car that kid is driving is owned by the producer, and it's like 1,000 horsepower Nissan.
It's a Skyline GTR.
Skyline GTR, right? 1,000 like horsepower, fucking bad. He owns that car.
No, that was
correct.
That car, he may own it now, but when they filmed the movie, that car belonged to the guy who they got somebody who knew what the fuck he was talking about because he built several cars. The Supra in the movie was his, and that Skyline was his.
Is he bald-headed in the film?
No, that's the director.
No.
The guy
There's a bald-headed kid in the film that has something to do with the fucking cars. He's only in there for... So after the very first race, and they're sitting around, and he goes...
I know what you're talking about.
You didn't even have your car. There's a bald-headed guy in the back. He has something to do with the cars. He was like owned one of them, or was a very big part of it. You could see him in the film. I'd have to like find a screenshot of it.
The guy who owned the Supra and owned that Skyline and rented them to the movie. He was in charge of finding all the cars for the movies.
Oh, okay.
Most of those cars belonged to local LA people because they didn't have the budget to go build these cars.
Right.
Like that. Do you remember in that first race, the guy who had that white Integra and he was playing the PlayStation in the car before?
Yeah.
That was his car.
That was, yeah.
The car Ja Rule drove.
Those were real people's cars.
Yeah, the car that Ja Rule drove, the red Integra.
Yeah.
I think it was an Integra. That was like a demo, not a demo car, but a show car that one of the companies would send to like car shows and stuff with their name all over it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that. I can't believe I'm on Prime all the time. I've never seen that.
The guy who owned that Skyline and the Supra, if you watch the movie, you know when they go out into the desert and they're doing the race wars thing.
Yeah,
you'll see a dark-headed guy, looks like somebody your dad played golf with a black goatee, and he was like doing the.
Oh, he was doing that. Yes, yeah.
Those were his cars. He was like the director who found the cars for the movies.
I didn't know that. It says that all in the documentary?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck, I'll have to go watch it.
The silver Skyline that Paul Walker drove in the second movie?
Yeah.
That's Paul Walker's car.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing something about that because he really got into cars after those films.
After that movie, he got seriously into cars, but that was his personal Skyline.
And it cost him his life.
Not the Skyline, the Porsche cost him his life.
Porsche.
With somebody else driving.
I know. Isn't that a fucking shame? I like Paul Walker.
Paul Walker was a good dude. And yeah, but you need to go watch that documentary series.
Right on, dude.
I mean,
so you going to edit all this down?
Yeah, I'll edit it down, but I think we were shooting for an hour, but
whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And
well, if you edit it, like, how do I look at listen to a copy of it?
It'll be online.
Oh, okay.
For everybody to listen to. Right on. I've got to figure out how to put it on Spotify. I want to put it on Spotify. I want to put it on YouTube. Figure out how to do like Apple Podcasts. Pretty much, neither one of us have any experience in doing this.
Yeah.
We're not famous people. We're not Joe Rogan coming in and making a podcast all of a sudden. And we don't have a directive to go with. We're not true crime. We're not lifestyle. We're not any of that stuff. So I'm hoping that somehow people find us and listen to us and get something out of it. If we get people listening to us and get something enjoyable out of it, then I will call that a 500% success.
Yeah. I agree.
There's so many people now that are like, I'm going to make a podcast and I'm going to make a living off of doing it. I have no delusions of that.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it happened, but I'm not going to, I have no delusions that would happen.
But if people were like saw it and commented, I don't even know. I guess you can comment because you can comment on Joe Rogan's bullshit. If they commented on it and said, "Hey, like, talk about this," or they I will say this: my wife listens to true crime podcast, And there's only one that I really like because I like the guy's voice.
Which one?
The rest of them fucking suck. She likes the one called, his name is Mike Boudet.
I don't know that one. I listened to 2.
Mike, God damn it. That's going to piss me off. Mike Boudet does this podcast.
I listened to 2 true crime podcasts. One, if your wife doesn't listen to it already, I think she would really like it because, men and women have different perspectives on things.
Yeah.
And this one's done by 2 women, 2 sisters. It's called Morbid.
Oh, pretty sure my wife listens to that too.
I think it's great. I love the 2 women who do it. They've got great sense of humor, great personalities. The way they tell stories is enjoyable. I enjoy listening to their show. And I listened to another one called Small Town Murder.
I bet my wife listens to that one too. Dude, Morbid. There's Morbid. Jessica listens to, there's a woman that does Lisa Simpson's voice. She does a true crime podcast. It's pretty good. But
what would be awesome is if she did it in Lisa Simpson's voice.
Well, right. Oh my God.
But the same 2 guys who do Small Town Murder, they do another show called Crime and Sports, where they'll take an athlete who's fucked up and gotten arrested a bunch of times. It could be somebody famous. It could be somebody you've never heard of. I love listening to theirs. And then they do another one. They do 3 podcasts. But they do another one.
I'm going to yell real quick. Jessica! What's that Mike Boudet podcast? What? Hold on. What's Mike Boudet's podcast?
I'm watching my true crime.
What's Mike Boudet's podcast?
Sword and Scale.
That's it. Sword and Scale.
I've heard of it. I've never listened to it.
It's the only one to listen to.
Yeah.
But listen to Small Town Murder.
Sword and Scale, there's no small talk, there's no giggling, there's no...
No, he said there's one called Small Town Murder. Oh, she knows all of them.
Okay.
Mike doesn't mess around, he just gets to the chase. Even if it's a story you've already heard, you're like, but then he retells it in his own way and it makes it okay.
Dude, I like Small Town Murder enough. I spend money every month on their Patreon just to get their bonus episodes.
That's what she does.
I quit that one, but
my point was I like his podcast because of his voice. So if people listen to this podcast, they might like our voice. They don't give a shit what we're talking about it. But they just
today he's got a cult following. He's not the most
his podcast
he tells a good story.
He tells a good story.
We're gonna wrap this up because I got to piss.
Anyway, that's what I was trying to get at.
I will. I'll set you or let you know wherever I end up posting it. I got to figure out how to do all that shit.
All right, man.
We'll see what happens, man. Thanks for getting on tonight.
Yeah. Just let me know next time. We'll try to schedule this once a week or once a month, however you want to do it.
We'll figure it out, brother.
All right, man.
Y'all have a good night.
All right, later, bro.